Hi everyone, I just thought I'd say sorry it's been so long since I've uploaded a video. The picture you're looking at the moment is the mother to one of the pairs you'll see in the video coming up. It's the Rhinelander with the crest that I talk about a little bit later on. But yeah, I just thought I'd let you guys know that I'm hoping that I can get more videos back out again and I can start doing this more regularly. I've had a lot of coursework and a lot of things I've had to catch up on in life, but I'm slowly getting there and I'll have more time in the summer, hopefully, to do more videos. The breeding season's really got off to a flying start here. I've got eggs from my greenies, I've got eggs from my siskin mules. I've got quite a lot of eggs coming from a lot of birds. They did start early, so a lot of them haven't been fertile. But with it this late in the year, I'm thinking that they're going to be more fertile as the year goes on. I hope you enjoy the video and I hope you guys have a great breeding season. Many thanks, Elliot. So here I've got one of my Rhinelanders cross Scots fancies from last year. I decided to do a little experiment with this to see how colour could be taken up on this bird. So what I've been doing is I've been giving them a mix of 200 grams of porridge, 500 grams of canary seed, 100 grams of gold linseed, and 10 grams of wheat germ oil. But in that, I've been adding on top of that 5 grams of turmeric. That's the mix that I've put together for this bird. And over time, you'll see that there's a little bit of improvement with her colour. But you'll see that the cockbird, which is the yellow bird afterwards, has a lot better improvement in colour. So this is what I've been doing over the last few weeks or months with this bird. And towards the end of the video, you'll see the chicks and things that came out of it, and I'll explain a little bit more about it. So here you'll see the bird about 4 weeks after I started this experiment on the turmeric mix. So as you can see, there's a little bit of colour improvement, not dramatic, but she seems to be doing quite well and she seems to be quite happy and healthy. She's just bouncing around, keeping happy, healthy. At this point, I was putting the birds in these show cages and moving them around the house, getting them used to being around people, really. I was just spending like maybe an hour or two, sometimes a whole afternoon, where I'd put them on that mantelpiece you can see with all the plants around them. And I'd just sit there and enjoy them while I was doing bits of coursework and other things around the house. But she seems quite well and in good shape with this one. But as you see, she gains a little bit more colour later on. Right now, it's not too evident. So here you can see that she's taken up quite a bit more colour now. I don't know how evident it is to people watching this, but to me in person, she was gaining quite a bit more colour. This is about 2-3 weeks on from that point that we saw in the last video. And she's really quite settled now. She's getting used to being in the cage, used to being around me, being around people, and being around other birds, really. At the time, I probably had about 3 or 4 birds in the room at once. And, she seems quite happy, and you really kind of like settled in. The mix really seemed to be going down well with her. She seemed to be enjoying it and seemed to be taking it up quite well. There's a bit more yellow in her flanks and down her chest and things like that. A little bit more by her eyes as well. You can see it just about in the video. Here you can see the male bird that I decided to pair to this hen that you saw in the previous video. He started on the diet probably about 2 weeks after. I decided to pair him up with her. Initially, I thought that other bird was a cockbird, but in the end, I realised it was a hen. But as you can see, he's got some light yellow in his feathers, but most of it's quite pale and washed out. He's got that little bit of dark colouring on his back, but not much. But yeah, as you can see, he's got some yellow to him. But as the videos go on, you'll see that he progressively gains more and more, and he gets more and more colour. It worked quite well, the turmeric, with this particular bird. Once again, he's a Rhinelander cross Scots fancy. I wanted to see what these would make after a second generation. They're both not related. They came from 2 separate pairs of the same pairing. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what the young grow up like and what they look like at the end of the breeding season. It should be interesting to see what comes out from it. So in this clip, you can see it's about a month on, maybe a little bit less from when I took that first video of him. And he's starting to jump around the cage a little bit more, bounce around a little bit more. He's constantly trying to get the plants that are in the background behind him, but he did eventually give up on that, which is a good thing. But yeah, the colour is starting to come through a little bit more down his sides, in his face, much like the hen, but more evident in this bird, obviously because of his colour. When he's been there, he's been quite happy, settled. It was just, I'd set up the camera at that point, and he wasn't used to having the camera and the light on him at that point. So I was just trying to basically adjust him to that sort of environment if I was going to be taking videos of him. In a minute, you'll see him in the cage with the hen, and he really does have a lot more colour on him. At that point, they were getting ready to lay, or they had laid. I believe they had laid at that point, actually. And the two of them had really paired off quite well. He was feeding her, he was happy with her. The two of them seemed quite happy in the cage together, and well, you'll see later that he has taken up quite a bit of colour. So here you can see the pair of them in the cage together, with the nest site in place. They started quite early on building. I'd found an egg on the floor at one point in the cage, so I decided I'd try them and see what would happen, because they're both feeders. And like I said, this was a little bit of an experiment. They're still on the diet at this point, and as you can see, the male bird has got a lot more yellow in him. The hen, she also had quite a lot of yellow in her, but in the video you'll see that she's got, I believe, 3 eggs at this point. Later on she laid a 4th egg, but that's when I stopped feeding the diet, because at that point that 4th egg was very, very small, minuscule in size, to be honest with you. And I just thought, well, I've done what I wanted to do with this experiment, see how the colour came out. I like what happens. So if I'm going to do it, I think I'll be doing it post-breeding season next time. From the 4 eggs that were eventually laid, I got 2 to hatch out from that, and 2 did not. I'm not disappointed with that, because, to be honest with you, it was very early in the season when they got together and they actually laid the eggs. The two of them were happy. He was feeding her. She was feeding. She was sitting on the eggs quite comfortably. She did her job, and she's been feeding the young quite well. They've continued growing, and they're growing currently. And you'll see in the clip in a second that they were. That first clip is 1 day old, and the second clip is around about 4 days old. The chicks now are getting to the stage where they're almost fully feathered and ready to leave the nest. So I'll try and get an update video to you guys soon, and I'll let you know how the young come out. I'm hoping one of them has a crest, because the Rhinelander they were bred from, the parents, one had a crest, one didn't. So it'd be lovely to see a little crest on one of them. I'd just like to add a little disclaimer at the end. After the first batch of feed that I'd made for them, I decided that I wanted to change up the amounts in it. I felt it was a little bit too concentrated with the turmeric. So in the end, what I went for was 400 grams of oats, 250 grams of pigeon conditioning seed, 500 grams of canary mix, 100 golden linseed, 10 milliliters of wheat germ oil, and then 5 grams of turmeric. I just thought I'd let you guys know, so that you'll know that that's the amounts that I ended up doing in the end. Cheers, have a good one, and bye.